Make more money than celebrities doing this. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dr. Corinity Irving, your GovCon expert and business growth specialist. Of course, in this particular video, I'm going to show you 5 things that you can actually do as an entrepreneur to walk away more wealthier and also more profitable than most celebrities that we honor and look up to on a daily basis. So, I'm not a celebrity, so I don't know anything about that. At least I don't think I am, but I know that there are some celebrities, actors, lawyers, doctors, singers, like there are some celebrities out there who are struggling day to day in their finances as if they've never even made it. And in this particular video, I actually want to address some of the things that you can do as an entrepreneur to where you can actually be more wealthier than the people that you actually aspire and look up to and believe that they're doing much better than you. And there are some strategies that, some people just don't understand business. Most people don't understand how to create wealth. So these particular strategies, just 5 moves that you can do to actually make more money than any celebrity, more money than any athlete, more money than any artist or whatever. You can do that as an entrepreneur, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So as you come in, say what's up in the chat. Let me know where you're coming in from. Go ahead and say where you're coming in from, and what business do you have, right? So in fact, I want to share with you how having a business is only the first step. Like having a business is the gateway to creating wealth. And if you did not know that, now you know, now you're in the aware. And I want you to go ahead and give yourself a hand praise for even having a business in the first place. If you don't have a business, then I'm also here to share with you that having a business is the first step to creating wealth. It's easy to go start a business. There are a lot of different tools and trainings and free information that is out there on how to start a business in a day. Literally, once you've done that, now you can position yourself to do these 5 things to position yourself and your business and your family to create wealth in a meaningful way. All right, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, I want to shout out some of our active members, the Dream Achievers, that are subscribing to our YouTube channel. I want to shout out Keats, Borley, T. Marie, Marshall, Melva Calvin. Hello, Melva, who's in our winner circle. Don Pitts, Tanisha Yu, Roger Dixon. Hello, Dream Achiever. Calvin Daniels, Walexa, Dream Achiever. Grace Prayer Center. JJ is a Dream Achiever. Sunita Garrett, Keith James, and Daviz Hirsch. So I want to shout out all of our Dream Achievers and also our Winner Circle member, Melva Calva. So if you are in our Winner Circle, you also can actually submit a request to join us in one of our lives. So you would do that by reaching out, and we can put it on schedule in reaching out to support at she'sgotgoals.com. Again, support at she'sgotgoals.com. And then you can come on and share some information about your business in the near future. We'll put it on calendar for you to be able to do that. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do so by going to youtube.com/Carwana And there are 2 choices. There's a I think it's like $4.97 or something like that level. And then there's a $9.97 level, $4.97, which is $5, and then $10 a month for our winner circle. So with that out of the way, I want to say hello and welcome in. I'm excited about today's topic because I'm going to share with you like the shockingly secretive information that most people are not privy to, right? On how to actually create wealth in a business and how actually contractors with the government and entrepreneurs and people who are who have businesses like $1 million firms are actually having more profits, more wealth than actual celebrities that we see every day on television, on these award shows, in these movies and stuff. And now you're starting to hear their stories of how they've been ripped off and how they although their contract is worth so much money, but they have to pay all of this overhead, right? And they're walking away with regular average middle class earnings, right? And so you definitely don't want that to be your story. And this is for you, even if you are one of those celebrities that that hasn't been able to create wealth with your gifts, right? We're going to show you exactly in this video things that you can do in a business that can help you change the narrative in the direction that you've gone in. Okay, so all right, so I am going to let me see number one. I'm going to start with number one. So there are 5 things that you can do to actually create wealth in your business, and one of those things is number one. Let me drop this here. I want to share my screen really quick. One of the things that you can do, number one, is win lucrative contracts. Okay. So now what do you mean by that, Dr. K? Right? So USA government 2020 spent $10 trillion on business products and services. 26% of that is obligated to go to small businesses. In the US, a small business is any company that has under 500 employees, right? And so, with that said, there are a ton, a plethora, like there are 33 million small businesses across the US that today that exists, okay? So with that, that's over $2.6 trillion that's on the table. There's a lot of opportunities that are out there. Not 2.6 million, right? But $2.6 trillion that's on the table. And that was on the federal level alone. There's even more money when you add the local state spending and their obligations to do business with you as a small business entrepreneur, right? Okay, now with that, out of the 33 million businesses that exist across the US, only 2% of those businesses are reported to have earnings of $1 million a year or more. Okay. Only 2%. What does that say to you? To me, it says there's room at the top. And there's room at the top for you if you understand how to create wealth and how to convert your business into a cash flow machine. One of the first things that you can do as an entrepreneur and who is looking to create wealth, right? You want to make more than a celebrity, get a government contract. One good government contract can literally be worth 10 years worth of revenue. In fact, one good government contract for my client Kim was worth $2 million. One good government contract for another one of my colleagues was worth 1.6 million. And both of these ladies do nothing more than share how to be fair in an agency, basically diversity, equity, inclusion trainings on that, right? So they share their knowledge, their expertise, and their gifts in those particular areas. And so can you. So whatever it is that you're doing in business, in life, whatever it is you're gifted at doing, you can actually position yourself to become a contractor to provide and offer those same skills and gifts to the government. It's just all about how you package it, right? And of course, we show you exactly how to position and package your existing gifts or your existing offer or services so that it's appealing to the government. So win government contracts. That is number one. That's the first thing that you want to do is learn how to win a government contract. And there are strategic steps. Of course, you have to, in order for you to win a government contract, you have to have a business first, right? So number one is to have a business. And your business has to be 100% in compliance, right? You cannot owe taxes and still land government contracts because it's out of compliance. You have to fix that, right? You cannot not have have a suspended LLC and not be in compliance with the state and still assume that you're going to get a government contract. That is out of compliance. It is also out of alliance, right? Alignments, right? So you have to have a very compliant and very legitimate business in order to do business with the government. So number one is to land a lucrative government contract. Anybody can do these things. In order to do business with the government, of course, the step one was to get a business, get your business registered, not only on sam.gov, but across the state and your city local small business programs, which will enable you to leverage your socioeconomic disadvantage to participate in these pools of money that's already set aside for you. Okay. And then when you look at those opportunities, you want to respond to them and rinse and repeat. So that's just in a nutshell how to win a government contract. You have to be responsive, right? You have to do the things that they ask you to do and say the things that they're asking you to say. Basically, they're doing a call and response. You're responding to the call. Nothing more, nothing less, and you're doing it in the manner and in the expertise in the way that they are asking for you to do that, right? Very specific. So number one is win a government contract. Number two is incorporate tax strategies. So I'm going to share with you really quick what that actually looks like. Okay. So share my screen again here. All right, so going back to the drawing board here. So I have a method, um, a wealth creation method. It's called the WOW method. It's the wheels of wealth, right? So it's a 4-step method, right? Which, if this is a vehicle, and if you're utilizing your business as a vehicle and not as a storefront, right, you're converting your business into a vehicle, and vehicles are designed to get you from point A to point B. So I'm just going to do a brief summary. I have another video specifically around the wheels of wealth. You can check that out on my YouTube. That goes into more granular details. But what this does, it shows you how to actually create wealth. So these first two wheels are like business credit and personal credit, right? Because this gives you leverage to access capital. In fact, in order for you to make money, you have to have some money. And sometimes if you don't have the money, you have to go borrow the money, right? And so there's a whole nother video on my YouTube about how to leverage debt to create wealth. So you can check that out as well in granular detail. But in a nutshell, you have to have money to make money. Money begets money. Everything was produced and designed to produce after its own kind, right? So if you want more money, that means you have to have some money to produce after its own kind, okay? And when you don't have it, that means you have to inherit others money, right? Other people's money, right? And because it's going to produce after its own kind. So you have to have capital. So capital, business credit, personal credit gives you access to capital. It gives you access to products and all these other things. It just gives you a little bit more power, right? It also can put you in a position to do the great exit, right? So if you're stuck at a job and you're trying to figure out how you're going to exit into and transition into your own business, this is how you do it. Okay. So that third wheel is going to be a premium client. So I call this the premium client wheel. So this is premium credit. This is personal credit. This is business credit. This is a premium client. So this one is government. So the government is the number one biggest purchaser of business products and the services in the world. Number one. Like, what number do they come in? Type that in the chat. Let me know. I want to make sure that you guys are really listening in on this, okay? So, number one, because the government is the number one biggest purchaser of products and services in the world, they are the largest premium client you could ever acquire. If you are in business to make money, this is definitely something that you want to pay attention to, right? Don't let it go over your head. Don't let it get away from you. Don't ignore the opportunities that are out there for you because of the terms government contract. Just think of them as a client. They just a client that got deep pockets. That's all it is, right? They're a client that has deep pockets. So we have a premium client, and what this premium client does is gives you what's called a CF. So it gives you what's called a cash infusion. Okay. This is where you actually can make more money than you have enough time to spend in your lifetime. It's called a cash infusion. Anybody want to know how to get these cash infusions? If you're ready to position yourself to learn how to get cash infusions, type I do in the chat. Let me know. All right. I see those I do's coming in. Type I do, right? So this is how you do it. This is the best way, the more realistic way, the proven way that I've seen for you to get cash infusions into your life, right? By doing business with the government that's making them your client, and these clients pay big, right? So cash infusion. So as you can see, this is money, right? This is money over here. That's money, right? Money begets money, begets money, begets money. So you got to know that we're talking realistic goals, right? And so this is how you do it. This is how you get into the game. Now, that fourth wheel, because money begets money, begets money, begets money, right? And there's a such thing called Uncle Sam who want a little bit of piece of your pie too. Like, you're getting the money from Uncle Sam, and then they want you to give a little bit back, right? It's a give and get, right? This is what cash flow. This is the whole terminology cash flow come from. You got to get and give. You got to give and get, right? That's just how it works. But how do you avoid most of the problems that celebrities have, of having to be in trouble for tax evasion, or having to pay so much in taxes that you don't want to pay them, right? That type of thing, right? So this fourth wheel is called a tax advantage strategy. So these tax advantage strategies is something that you have to have in place. So this is actually number 2 on my list, a tax advantage strategy. Now, there are specific various types of tax advantage strategies that exist, but one that I highly recommend. So a couple that I highly recommend: tax advantage strategies. So two that I highly recommend, and there's a lot. I'm not a tax advisor or anything out there like that, but I know tax advisors, and I will always recommend that you consult with tax advisors, because everybody's situation is not a cookie cutter situation. It's going to depend on you and your circumstance, right? And so what I will say is, once you have a cash influx, once you're getting ready to start making hundreds and thousands and even millions of dollars in your business by these plays, by running these particular plays that I'm sharing with you, then you're going to need to have tax advantage strategies in place to minimize your tax implications, right? To minimize what you have to pay out. You have to do that. And some ways that I've seen works, right? So here's some things. Number one is a universal index life, right? There's so much money that you can put into a universal index life policy, but there's no limit to how many policies that you can have, right? And so, universal index life policies not only grows your money, right? Because you want to make your money return to you in multitudes, right? Because that's the way that money was designed to do, right? It was designed to return to you in multitudes, right? And if it's not doing that, it's because you don't understand money and you don't know how to make it work for you. So we're gonna get on the other side of money. So the universal index life policies grows your money exponentially, right, over a certain period of time. Now, that time doesn't have to be 30, 40 years out, because some people don't have 30, 40 years left. So, depending on who you work with and how they set it up, you can fully optimize on your universal index life policy over a 7-year period. So, I think everybody has a little bit of 7 years, but also, depending on who sets it up for you, you can actually make money for you and start utilizing it while it's making money for you. You're also using it other places, and it's still making money for you, as if you still have it in the account, right? So that's like a banking on yourself type of strategy. But what this does, it grows in the multitude, and it grows tax free. You can pull it out tax free when you do it this way, right? So that's a tax advantage strategy. So your money is going in and it's growing in multitudes, and you can pull it out while you're using it tax free. Okay, so that's a strategy. And then in addition to that, other strategies have been investing in real estate, because there are certain things that you can write off on real estate. So now your money is working for you in a UIL. You're taking it out or as a loan, and you're using it to also invest in real estate. So now you're actually getting paid multiple times on the same dollar by doing these particular strategies. So in real estate, now you have all your write-offs, because maybe you've opened up an LLC for each property, and everything that you expense to these properties are tax deductible. Okay, so now you're getting tax breaks because of that. And in addition to that, every year you can rent your property out to yourself or to your business for, I think it's up to 14 days, right? That falls under a specific law. You can rent your property out to you on a daily rate for 14 days. That's reasonable within your area. So say, for instance, for your property size and in your region, maybe you can rent out your spot for like $300 a day. 300 times 14 is how much you can actually write a check to yourself. Write a check to yourself. And it reduces your revenue or your income by that particular amount, which is less taxes that you have to pay. That's another strategy, right? And then in addition to those particular plays, there are other things that exist in the marketplace, right? You can get an IRA. There's so much money you can put in the IRA in a year, and that's a tax advantage strategy. And then you can make sure that everything that you do it in the name of your business, and all of those business deductions become tax deductible and all that stuff. So anyways, those are some plays. Again, I am not a tax advantage strategist. I do not do taxes or any of that stuff. Those are just things that I've seen work for me and work for a lot of my clientele. But whatever tax strategy you're going to need, you're going to consult with a professional in that area. But just know that you're going to need a tax advantage strategy in place so that you're not like a celebrity who ends up not paying the taxes because of the extenuous amount, and then end up with tax evasions and all of these other things. There are things in place that you have to foreplan how to make these things work for you. So number 2 on my list was a tax advantage strategy, right? So you want to create wealth. You want to have lucrative government contracts. You want to have a tax advantage strategy to minimize the taxes and make your money work for you, right? So if your money is not working for you, then guess what? You have to. It's time to employ it and do it the smart way. Learn more about how money really works. Number 3 was kind of tied into something that I actually covered in my Wheels of Wealth. Number 3 is leverage credit, other people's money. Most people don't want to use other people's money, but it's a great way to create wealth. Even Robert Kiyosaki recently admitted the amount of debt that he has. Good debt, because the debt that he has created millions and millions and even billions of dollars for him, right, in his particular industry. But he only got that by leveraging other people's money, and it frees up his money. So when you're leveraging other people's money, it frees up your cash flow to be able to make these plays. So leveraging debt and credit is a great way to maximize on your profits. That is a great way for you to create wealth as well. So number 4, actually, let me get to number 3. So let me put it on here. All right, so here. So I'm going to skip down here. Number 3 is using OPM, other people's money, is very key, right? And it's biblical. So if you go back to last week, I did a video on leveraging debt to create wealth. And I talked about how the story in the Bible about Elijah and a widow and how she ended up borrowing the vessels that she needed in order to pour the oil and then go back into the marketplace and sell that when she had nothing, and brought her well over returns over her investment, right? And how now she got out of her situation because she borrowed, right? So it is a scriptural biblical principle to borrow other people's money and to borrow and to have that particular type of leverage by using other people's money, right? So there's good debt, there's bad debt. If the debt that you have that you're leveraging does not bring real you money to pay that debt off, then it's bad debt, right? And I'm not talking about borrowing money to go buy a purse, because if that purse is not going to pay you 10 times or 100 times more than it was when you bought it, or the cost of buying it, right, or borrowing the money to buy it, then that is bad debt, right? But anything that's going to give you a return on your investment is definitely going to be leverage debt, and that's a great thing. Okay, so other people's money was number 3. Number 4, I'm glad that the Wheel of Wealth, of course, was an indicator of like all these things. That this is why my methodology or framework around the whole Wheels of Wealth, like this stuff really works, right? And so investments, passive streams of income. So watch this. Now, here's the thing about having investments. This is number 4. Is having investments. Like, you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in the things that you believe. You got to invest to actually create wealth. The thing in order for you to get a tree, let's just say this is a tree. In order for you to get a tree filled with maybe fruit, maybe this is an apple tree, you have to first plant the seed, and then you have to nurture the seed. This is water. You have to nurture the seed in order for it to grow into that tree. It's no different for your business and making investments in yourself. You have to plant seeds. And seeds, in order for you to get money, you have to sow seeds of money, right? Monetary seeds grow monetarily. So, and it grows in a multitude. One apple seed turns into a tree full of apples that are filled with multitudes of apple seeds, right? And so money is no different. Finances is no different. $1 planted could turn into a multitude of dollars that will grow on your financial tree. But you have to understand that it takes money to make money. And you have to understand that in order to reap a harvest, you must plant the seed. Okay. So that's how it works. So planting seeds, very, 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 very key, right? Investments. So here's the gameplay, right? This is what most celebrities don't do. most people don't do, most entrepreneurs don't do. But if you do this, like, your chances of actually becoming more wealthier than the average everyday celebrity will skyrocket, right? Just by this particular play. So say for instance, um, so there's active, right? So there's active streams of income, and then there are passive streams of income, right? So using number 4, the investments, I'll put that here. So using number 4, the investments strategy, this particular thing, active streams of income is things that you have to work for, right? So um, you go to work, you provide a service, you provide a product, you get paid, right? You work for the money. Passive streams of income is you make money regardless if you get up and go to work or not, right? So at some point, while you're making your money work for you by landing lucrative government contracts and like all of these things are happening, now you have money momentum. Your wealth is growing. You have tax strategies in place. Now your wealth is growing, and now you have built yourself, to a $5 million a year empire. Okay, this is just hypothetical. I'm using this as a number. That number could be 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. It could be a million or whatever. But I'm just using 5 million for this particular example, because you're actively doing the work. If you were a singer, you're actively performing and doing concerts and selling merchandise in order to make the money that you make. If you were an actor, you're actively doing movies and television shows and films and stuff in order to make the money to be able to do these things, right? But at some point, the money that you make, you want to reinvest them into things like real estate. I'm just going to put RE, real estate, right? Rental property, real estate. Now, I'm not talking about something that you're going to go live in. I'm talking about rental property. You can have rental property all over the world, right? In other countries where it's affordable, right? So you want to always reinvest your money. You've already planted a seed. You've already gotten a return on your investment. Your money is already begetting more money, right? So you've already created this money momentum. Then what? How do you project what your future is going to be like to where everybody's good? Like nobody's planning to be working for 90 years. Nobody's planning to be working at the age of 90 to 100, right? I don't know about you, but I don't plan to be working to the age of 90 to 100. I don't plan on doing that. And so what do? You don't want to work until you can't work no more, because as soon as you are not active, your income dies. It comes to a halt, right? If you only focus on active income, by the time you're no longer able to be active, maybe you've gotten hurt, maybe you've gotten sick, maybe you've had a baby, or whatever the situation, as soon as you're unable to act, then your income halts, right? So this is the reason why you also want to turn your active income and replant it into passive streams, right? So you want to reinvest some of that money into passive streams, right, of income. One of those passive streams includes the UIL, because it continues to grow, and at some point now you're just pulling money from a growing pipeline of money, and you don't have to work for it anymore. It's working for you. So that's just one just one strategy there of how to create passive income. But the other thing is the rental property, right? So let's just say now you have a multitude of rental properties. Maybe for every 10 rental properties, this is just a hypothetical example. So every 10, it brings you in $500,000 a year. Let's just say that, right? As an example. So every 10 is bringing you in $500,000 a year. And so how many of these would you have to surpass the $5 million a year that you're actively working for, right? So we take 500,000. Let me bring up a calculator. So we have calculator. So you take 5 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and divide that by 500,000, and you would have to have 10 properties. You need you need to have 100 properties. So you need to do, if you have 10 properties that brings you $500,000, then you need to do that 10 times. So that's 10 times 10, that's 100 properties, right? So that's 100 rental properties will bring you 5 million. And maybe that can be your one play. 100 rental properties. Or you can multiply or diversify your portfolio by saying, okay, well, we have 10 doing, a half a million, but I don't want to have to manage 100 properties unless it's like 100 rooms in a building, right? Maybe this is like a multi-dwelling property, and that kind of saves you time, right? But anyways, maybe instead of like 100 properties, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do 10 properties, and then I'm gonna invest in some stocks, like maybe some bonds that that I know is gonna bring me my money back or whatever, make my money work for me. Maybe some other things. Maybe there's some gold, gold bars and silver bars that hold value. Maybe there's some art that you can invest in that's going to hold value as well. And then now your passive streams of income. Maybe there's some, maybe there's a book or ebook or something that you can write based off your experience in business, and maybe that's selling over and over and over, and that brings you about $100,000 a year, right? And so now you have passive streams that you no longer have to work for because you've reinvested your active income into passive streams of investments that's going to continue to grow and outgrow. At some point, it's going to outgrow because it's going to start just like your active income, and at some point, it's going to outgrow your active income portfolio. And that's what you want it to do. You want your passive income to outgrow and outperform ultimately over a certain period of time, to outperform your active income. That is the true essence of time freedom. That is how you actually plan for retirement, to where now you don't have to worry about it. Money is going to continue to grow because you've made these moves and you thought about these things in advance, right? You got to think about these strategies and these things in advance, because nobody wants to work forever, right? Regardless of, how, and that's number 5 on my list, by the way. No, regardless of how much you love doing your job or love doing the work that you do, love serving the people that you serve, nobody has forever to work. And so you have to think years in advance and do the thing now, because things don't just happen, right? These are problems that's not just going to work itself out. These are not plays that are just going to fall into place for you. You have to be intentional about these things. So Travis, it's a singer. I can't think of his last name, but his Travis Scott, I think. I can't think of his last name. Maybe not Travis Scott, but he has a song called "God is Intentional." All things works together for our good, because he's intentional, right? And so, never failing. Things never fail when you do them with intention and intentively, like you do them on purpose. In order for you to be where you want to be 5 to 10 years down the line, you have to start doing the work and planting those seeds now, right? And executing on those things now. Is not just going to automatically happen and fall into place for you. You have to be intentional about making it happen for yourself. And you are responsible for where you're going to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. Not your mother, not your father, but you, oh Lord. Standing in the need of prayer. It's you, right? It's not nobody else. It's anything, right? And so that last thing was just retirement plan. You have to have a retirement plan. You have to plan your exit before you exit. You got to plan that in advance, right? So, just to kind of sum it up, those things on this list: how do you make more money and create more wealth than average everyday celebrities that we look up to and think that their multitude, their net worth is worth multiple billions, but then they're filing for bankruptcy because their overhead is bigger than their income, right? And their revenues. And then they have these tax things that they weren't prepared for, right? They weren't prepared for these things. And then they retire and go work at Walmart. Like, these things literally happen, right? It's because of lack of financial knowledge, lack of financial education, lack of planning, lack of knowing. And it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault, because these are just things that we're not taught. It's things that we learn accidentally along the way. And unfortunately, but if you can get ahead of the information, expand your knowledge about it, then you can plan for it and be intensive with it. So just to sum it up, win lucrative government contracts. That's going to give you your cash flow. Remember my wheels of wealth. You have to have leverage. You have to incorporate tax strategies, right? Tax advantage strategies. You have to leverage other people's money, which is credit and debt, in order to get yourself in the game and create cash flow momentum. If you have no money, then nothing from nothing leaves nothing. If you have nothing to begin with, that means you have to start somewhere. And sometimes you have to start somewhere with leveraging other people's money. If you're unable to leverage other people's money, maybe because you have no credit, then guess what? Now you got to start somewhere before you start somewhere. Now you got to start with repairing some credit, right? Whether you pay somebody to repair for you or you do it yourself. Take the time and do it yourself, right? But do that. And then that will put you in the game to now leverage the credit to be able to invest in some things and to access capital that you need to expand your knowledge, your information, your business, your marketing, on all those things. And then you want to invest in number four is invest in the passive things, right? What can I do to invest in things that are going to be worth money in the future? Well, the real estate, the universal index life. What passive income streams do am I not tapped into that I can tap into to where I can do it once, maintain it, and never have to work again? The money is just going to continue to come in. Multi-level marketing products and services are really great for that. You build it once, and then you get paid on it over and over and over, as long as you stay an active member and people are still purchasing the stuff, right? So multi-level marketing is really great for that as well. And then strategizing your retirement, right? By UILs and making your money work for you and figuring out where you want to be and what you have to put into place in advance. So those are my tips today. If you want to make more money than celebrities, if you do these things, you will make more money than celebrities. You are the celebrity, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you're already a celebrity. And how do I know? Because the government is already saying, I want to do business with entrepreneurs and small business owners and executive bosses just like you, and award you these lucrative contracts. But unfortunately, most people get into the game, they get awarded the contracts, and they're unfinancially financially disliterate, not financially literate, and then they end up back into the same boat, and you got to continue the moment. You got to start all over again and build momentum all over again. Then now you're broke again because of lack of information, lack of knowledge, and lack of planning. And so, if you want to avoid all of those things, then definitely you want to take into account some of the things that I shared with you all today. All right, so that's it for today. We are helping more people become more financially literate, as well as understanding how to win these lucrative contracts and access tools that will help you to have leverage and understand how to build and create the money momentum. We do that in our 5-day challenge, where we're showing people how to get pre-qualified for government contracts. It is the way to creating wealth. It is the number one biggest, best, quickest, fastest way to creating wealth. And generational wealth is something that I teach. Is definitely something that I'm very passionate about, of how to make so much money that you actually have enough to pass down for generations to come. This is just the first step. So if you go to govconchallenge.com, you can actually register for our next upcoming 5-day challenge, where we're helping small business entrepreneurs learn how to position themselves and to qualify themselves to create wealth and to have more money than celebrities have. So let's go. We'll see you on the money side. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Until next time, go be fruitful and multiply your wealth. Subdue it, all those things. Subdue all the things that's holding you back. You're above those things, so you get to stomp on it. You get to educate yourself. You get to overcome those things, and then will you have dominion over all of your circumstances and over all of your dreams. So go live life by design and not by default. We'll check you next time.